Yeah, we had work with the CDC a number of years ago trying to figure out how to get children to move more, sit less. Children had become very inactive, in fact, the most inactive generation that we'd ever recorded. And so we knew that the one kind of window of opportunity that we had from a public health perspective was during school. If you encourage children to do things like after-school activities, that does work for some children, but it doesn't really reach out and touch all children. Whereas if you can come up with something that works in the school, particularly during the school day, you have a chance at really affecting most children. And so what we did was we came up with a way to create an environment, activity-permissive learning environment, or APLE, a way to get those kids to move. And we found that creating stations that were standing was particularly helpful. I am Dr. Mark Benden. I am the director for the Center for Worker Health at the School of Public Health at Texas A&M University. I'm also the department head for the Environmental and Occupational Health Department. 2,000 years ago, the Romans had an expression, solvitur ambulando. It can be solved with a walk. Well, part of our research today is figuring out how to get modern humans, particularly office dwellers, to be less sedentary, to take more walks, to have more movement. As we try to increase their movement, we have to be ever mindful of their productivity. And so one of the modern tools that we've got in the office is standing desks. They give us the option to work seated, work standing, transition between the two. Children naturally like to wiggle, they like to fidget, they like to move and shake. They still believe that it's all about the hokey pokey. They know that they're supposed to have change and transition. And so when we put a situation in kids' lives where they're allowed and encouraged to move, they do. Now, ironically, when we ask adults to do the same thing, they complain. But children love it. They embrace it. They want to wiggle and dance and move and be all over the classroom. They really enjoy that. So giving them a place where they can do that in a learning environment where they can still accomplish their tasks. What we found was that children had more time on task when they were in an activity-permissive learning environment than when they were in the traditional static environment. And teachers love that because it helps them with their classroom management. When children are on task, when they're focused, when they're doing their work, they're not bothering their classmates. The teacher's able to teach the material and not have to correct behaviors. And so it really works out as a win-win from an educational standpoint and a health standpoint. And this is kind of hard because it goes against conventional wisdom of sit down, sit still, be quiet, do your work. When we do that for long periods of time, we actually become less productive. We need change and variety. Our bodies heal themselves through movement. Yeah, it's funny, we've had Hollywood, A-listers and all sorts of sports stars and different people that we've worked with, CEOs of very large corporations, Fortune 100 corporations, and seeing the smile on the children's faces, seeing the teachers, having the stories where the child who was really having trouble staying engaged with the material, and suddenly they're focused, they're attentive, they're paying attention, they're on task. Just helping us understand how the brain and the body are one, they work together. We often try to separate those two things, say, well, let me just work with your brain right now. It's like, no, you're getting the whole person. Their little body is part of that brain too, and you've got to understand how to work with both at that same time. And I think we're setting these children up now for adulthood to be folks who move more, right? Transition more, change more. Have them have the expectation of an activity-permissive work environment because they're coming from an activity-permissive learning environment.
Fantastic.
I think last count we were in over 40 countries. Hundreds of thousands of school children have now utilized these standing desks that we designed here at Texas A&M.